Last story I told, I was somewhere with the zoo in the kibbutz, and years went by. I worked with a group of kids, and 1967, I finished working with this group, and I was more or less at loose ends, and I got a year to go and study at the university from the kibbutz. Before I went, there was a lot of talk about taking a year like that and not getting anything out of it for the kibbutz. And my friend Dan Kerman, he came and he said, "I've got a better deal for you," and he suggested that I go to Oranim, is a kibbutz school in the north, where they wanted to have people who would sit and talk about the ideology and right. It was sort of like going out to early retirement. And I said, no, I want to go to Jerusalem and study for 1 year. That's it. He got really angry. He said, Zvi, you're out of your fucking mind. My kids heard it. It became a slogan in the house. Every time I'd walk in, they'd say, Zvi, you're out of your fucking mind. So something good came out of that. But I stayed with my desire, especially after the 6-Day War, when Jerusalem became, all of Jerusalem became part of Israel. And I had this opportunity for me to get up and go and live in the eastern part of Jerusalem with the Arabs there. This is something that when I came to the country, I was sure was the most logical thing in the world. And instead of looking at them all from the top of the Notre Dame to see the Arabs enjoying themselves in the old city and me being on the other side. Fortunately for me, I was at loose ends. I had to begin a study in July, and during the month of June, the country was flooded with volunteers, among them English speakers that came to Urim. These English speakers were a group of 4 crazy Welshmen, 2 guys and 2 girls, and they came from the old city. So I said, I'll go and I'll talk to them, because the kibbutz put me in charge of them anyway. And I asked them, where can I go in the old city to find a place to stay? They said, look, tourists know that when you get to the old city, you look for a man called Uncle Joe. His real name was Ismail Batuni, I learned. And he'll set you up. He's got a place to live, and if you want to give blood there and money, he'll do that, and he'll give you hash, and it's easy. So I said, okay. I got where do I find him? They said he's usually sitting at the New Ragadan Hotel. This is not so new, the hotel, and it was right on the border between Musrara and the Israeli part of Jerusalem and East Jerusalem. So I said, okay, but I'll try first of all on my own to rent a room somewhere. So I got there early in the morning into the old city, and I started walking around from place to place, and I said, can I rent a room here? And everyone said, there's a hotel nearby. I said, but I'm coming for a year. I don't want to sit in a hotel. But it was very firm. There's a hotel nearby. So in the end, I went out looking for Ismail. It was already evening time, late afternoon, early evening. And I get there, and I walk in, and I ask for Ismail. Uncle Joe, I called them, and they said, here. And I walk into this room, and there's this room where people are sitting around, playing cards a little bit and drinking Johnny Walker Red. That was the standard drink at the time. And this guy looks up, and he's big, broad. He looked a good deal like me. We were the same size, both in height and in width at the time. And he said, what do you want? So I said, so-and-so told us that you can give us a room. You can give me a room. He said, I'll give you a room up here in the new Ragadan. I said, I want a room to live in the old city, not in a hotel. He said, why not? I said, look, if you came to live in Tel Aviv, would you go and look for a hotel to stay for a year? And he said, no, I look for a room to rent. I said, good, that's what I'm doing. He said, sorry, all I can give you is a room here, very cheap. So I begin to get up and go. He says, wait, what are you going for? Sit down, drink a little, let's talk. At the time, I was not used to this Eastern convention, but I got the feeling that I better sit down. So I sat down, and he asked me, first of all, if I was here in the War of in Israel in the War of Independence. I said, no, I was still young. I got here really just in the year after. And I asked him if he was did any fighting, and he said yes. He fought against the Israelis at the time, and I said okay, and we got past that, and then we just started talking. I don't even remember about what, but it just, the drinks kept coming, and he knew how to pull you out because he got my whole history, and I was asking him questions, but it turned into a very fascinating evening. I was completely enthralled with this man, and it was clear he wasn't within the law actually, because he sold hashish to all the tourists that came, and I later learned that he was a part owner of a brothel in Ramallah, and I found it somehow exciting, and it drew me. So we talked, and we started at 11 o'clock at night. I'm getting up to go. He said, sit down. I said, why? He said, here. And he pulled out a key. It was like this long, you can see it, and this thick. It weighed like almost a kilo. That's 2.5 pounds. And he said, here's the key to my house. And he said, you walk in the flower gate, and you go past the first arch, the first door you've got to your right. You will have the key, you open it up, and you can move right in. I said, okay, but how much do I have to pay rent? You know, I'm a kibbutznik. I'm limited in my budget. He said, 3 hours we're sitting here and talking, and every time you ask about renting, I say I'm not renting. I'm still not renting. I'm giving you the house for a year. Take it. So I said, well, what about electricity? He said, there's no electricity there now, but tomorrow morning there will be. And I said, okay. I went to take a look at the house, and it was there, and it just needed some kind of repairs because it was bombed during the war, so there was no glass in the windows and like that. Bobby came to help me, and I realized the electricity, all he had to do was climb up and connect 2 wires from the house to the municipal electric line, and he got me free electricity. Anytime they took it down, he'd come back and climb up and hook it up again. So that's the way I lived the year, with free electricity and water. Nobody measured either. So that was it. I didn't have to pay rent. What I did do, from my own desire, was just give some money to his wife, Awadia, because I knew that they weren't really very rich, and I got money from the kibbutz, so I gave it. Life there was good. There was one time that I was really, really worried, and it was the only time that I felt that it was because of me that I did something wrong. And that was when in the kibbutz, people were worried about me, and they kept saying, so he's going to kill you, you're there among the enemy, and it meant nothing for me. I mean, I grew up in Coney Island, what the hell, we had all kinds of people there too. maskir came and he said, maskir, secretary of the kibbutz, he said, at least I want to know that you have a weapon with you, because who's going to take care of your wife and your children if you get killed there? So I thought, okay, he's making an argument. I said, all right, against my better judgment, and they gave me a big Mauser from the Second World War, but it was really big. And I packed it into my little suitcase, and I got there and I went to Jerusalem, the old city. And as I'm walking in, Awadia calls me over and she says, I'm alone just with the kids. Come and sit with me for a while. So I said, sure. I had the day my first class was something at 8:30 in the evening. So I came in and we sit down, we start talking. And she said, would you like to have lunch? And I said, sure. I didn't realize then what lunch meant. We're talking and nothing's happening. We're drinking coffee and nothing's happening. And she nudges one of the kids, 5 children, one was a baby. The big one she nudged, and he went out, and I heard some squeaking outside. He was running around, and he caught a chicken. They had chickens in their yard. And she says, excuse me for a minute. And she goes out and she takes an axe and chops off the head. And the kids are pulling out the feathers, and she's talking with me, and she has to tell my fortune. She told the fortune through the coffee dregs. So I gave her my coffee, and she told me my fortune, and she said I was going to have a very exciting year here. And as far as she could see, that it was just good things to come afterwards. I figured, okay, nothing special. We'll get back to that in the story after I left the old city, or how I left the old city. But it went on and went on, and then Ismail comes in, and he says, okay, you'll stay over with us. Come, I'll help you unload your stuff. I stop, and I say, he's going to find this big Mauser, and it's not going to be a friendly meeting. And as nice as he is and was, I don't know where he is now, he was a dangerous man. So I was really in trouble there. And then I said, oh, I forgot, I've got this class at 8:30 in the evening, and then I'm going to spend the evening with my friends from the kibbutz in Kiryat Yovel, a Jewish neighborhood, and I'll be back tomorrow. And that's how I got out of it, but I was shaking in